contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the big Albowski. That guy right there is Professor Keith, and not just in voice only, but it's his beautiful face. And joining us...
We'll see how long this lasts. Maybe Nathaniel Cunningham is the trick. Maybe he is the key. And if so, sorry everybody, but it's Nathaniel Cunningham every week then. After this. Yeah. That's what we have to do.
And our guest tonight is, as the professor just said, Nathan Cunningham. What's up, man?
How are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for your time tonight. And we're going to talk about wrestling and all that, but we're going to talk about you mostly. So let's just jump right in, man. Everybody's got a story, right? Everybody's got an origin story. Everybody got into this business one way or another. A lot of the stories that we've heard over the past 2 years have been like, they got into it when they were kids and then whatever. So what's that story for you? Tell us that story of how you got into wrestling in the first place.
So I was always a huge fan, like growing up, watching it as a kid, going to live events. I maybe missed 2 that came around my area in Wilkes-Barre. But other than that, my godfather actually played a huge part. He did independent work as the Night Prowler. So going to those shows as well influenced my decision to when I was 18, jumping on with Justin Glory, Jack Molson, and doing this for real. So it's been a great ride so far, and I wouldn't change anything I've done.
Yeah, and Jack Molson, we've been interviewing some of his students. We've been, we talked to Shelby Waters. We talked to the dude, and next week we're talking to Donnie Bambino. So yeah,
he's nothing special.
Oh, he's gonna love you for that, right?
Oh, he's good. Absolutely.
He's gonna absolutely love you for that. Shout out to the Don. Can't wait to talk to you next week. But anyway,
yes.
Happy. What do they call it, Keith? Devil's Night. It's the night before Halloween.
Mischief Night.
Halloween is tomorrow.
Yep.
Most people trick-or-treated this weekend, but, some people are trick-or-treating on Halloween itself. So happy Halloween, everybody. And we are here. And so let's get back to Nathan Cunningham. And that is, so you grew up. You were a fan like the rest of us, but you grew up and you started training with these guys. Oh, did we lose him?
No,
you're
still here.
You're back.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So you started training with these guys. How long have you been training with them? And talk about your first match.
So I started training in 2018, and it messes me up here because of the pandemic, because that whole year and a half we were off. I just found out I have been working shows for a full year now. But I actually debuted at Backbreakers against Aaron Roxas. That match was great. Obviously, there's like 1 or 2 mistakes that I made on my end, rushing it, timing-wise. But other than that, it was a great first match for me, and I'm happy he was the one I had to go against.
Wow, you almost never hear anybody say their first match was great. Most people will say, I messed up this, I messed up that. Thank God I work with so-and-so that led me through it. Almost nobody has that good experience to be able to say, wow, my first match was so good, other than 1 or 2 things. So that's really great to hear.
Yeah, no, I loved every minute of it. And he did lead me. He did put the match together in the structure. But if it wasn't for him, I don't know if it would have been as great. So shout out to him for that.
Yeah, you got to have that veteran that knows when you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And so where did that lead after that? Because, I mean, where was that match? It was for backbreakers, but where exactly was that?
That was in Mayfield.
Mayfield.
And then soon after that, I continued to work maybe 2 or 3 more backbreaker shows after that. And then I started branching out to Rope to Rope. I've done work with them, Triple WA now. I do work down in Virginia for Premier League Wrestling. I've worked Eclipse. I've been in part of Eclipse. I might be going back in 2023, hopefully. So there's a lot of things in the work for next year regarding new companies. Ultimate Wrestling is one of them especially. So, and UCW as well, 100% going to be a big one for the next year. So I'm excited for the future.
When you say future, do you mean that you're just going to just keep working on your craft and getting booked as much as possible, or do you have bigger plans than that?
I want to just continue working on my craft, on my character work, developing that, and I would take as many bookings as that comes my way.
Is the goal full time to be able to make a full time living at this?
Oh, absolutely. That's the goal. 1,000%.
And it's great to hear that you're already taking bookings in other states, other places, because as you know, if you're going to do this full time, you're going to most likely have to be either with one national company, or you're going to need to be able to string some indie bookings in a few different places together. So it's so important to be able to go and look at those different styles. And I think it's great that you're going to Virginia, because I think it's so important. If you're in the north, go down and learn southern style. If you're in the south, come up north and learn northern style. If you're trying to, break out, like you're saying, and get hooked on with that national company. Know what different places want, because different places expect different things from their wrestling.
Exactly. And one thing that stuck with me was from Rosh, actually. We were talking one night and he said, you're never going to make it if you're from the north and don't go up south, because you can't just stay in your one area and make it anywhere. So you have to travel.
When you say Rosh, you're referring to, some people know him as Uncle Masty, am I right?
Yes.
Friend of ours, friend of the show.
Big shout out to Uncle Masty. What's up, my man? So let's talk a little bit about 3WA, because that's something that the professor and I are kind of knee deep in, as far as the commentary team goes and stuff like that. So talk about your debut in 3WA. Talk about how you felt the crowd was. Talk about how you feel about the organization in general.
So I know I faced the dude for my 3WA debut. It was his as well, actually. The response from the crowd, I was not expecting such a great response. I loved the crowd absolutely 100%. Best crowd, one of the best crowds I've wrestled in front of. The locker room is fantastic. Katie, Dino, Paul, they treat me like I'm family. And I feel like I can go to them whenever something's wrong. And it's an overall nice place to work. I do enjoy working for Triple WA.
Talk about the match with the dude itself. How'd that go for you, you thought?
That match went really good. We had a layout, we had a structure, and obviously we improvised in the ring, but there's nothing that I saw that was wrong with that match at all. He was over. He did great. Absolutely fantastic. So as a whole, that whole match was perfect for me. One of my best matches so far.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think that match really cemented both of you in the eyes of that crowd, because what I saw was when the dude came out, when you first came out, they're like, who the hell is this guy? And you got a mirror, you're looking at yourself, and they're like, okay, right away, they're like, okay, we don't like him. So that kind of helped the dude, because then the next thing you know, you hear Van Halen's Jump, and he comes out with that crazy character he's got going, and he goes and he jumps around, he's waving at everybody. Everybody loves him, and he didn't even wrestle yet, and neither did you.
Right.
Then you guys wrestled, and they're like, okay, we like both these guys as far as talent goes. We get to cheer this guy, and we get to boo this guy. This is going to be fun. So I think that match did both of you guys some huge justice.
Absolutely.
I agree, and thank you for that, actually.
Yeah, I was there for that one, watching that in person, and both you guys looked really good. I've said it to the dude, and I'll say it to you now. You guys don't look like you're at the level you're at experience-wise. You guys look and you work and you get it, and you do those little things that make me feel like, wow, really, these guys only been doing it this little bit. I mean, not to blow smoke up your butt or throw you off your path, but just you guys have obviously been trained very well, and you have an aptitude for this that definitely comes through.
Well, thank you very much. And when I was trained originally, Justin Glory, he always drilled it in our heads. Like, character work is the most important thing. If you can't tell
It
a
is.
story, you will never be able to have a match.
Absolutely. You guys can do a million flashy moves in the world, but if I don't care about you, if I don't care about what you're doing, if I don't hate you, if I'm supposed to hate you, if I don't love you, if I'm supposed to love you, it doesn't matter. And if you can get the crowd to do that, you don't have to do the million flashy moves in the world. You can do little things, you can do that little character work, like you say. The cocky smirk can mean just as much as the suicide plancha to the outside of the ring. Sometimes it can mean more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that. Absolutely.
I got a couple comments in here. David Hilt's with us. What's up, David? Watching from York. Can't wait till the SWO show Saturday. Yes, at Red Lion this Saturday in Red Lion. SWO's in Red Lion, and just got back from CCW wrestling show and Camp Hill. Yes, I did know that they were doing a show today, this afternoon at 2:00 in the afternoon with Valor and with CCW. I hope you had a great time. Mike Bucciaroni's here. Nathaniel, big fan since your first appearance.
Oh, he's been great. He is. I feel like he's like one of my big supporters, even though I am a heel. But like, I couldn't be happier with him and thankful for him. So I appreciate you.
Mike is just the super fan of 3WA, and
Sure.
everything he does to try to bring awareness to the product and to bring awareness to the talent, and he has an eye for talent. I mean, Mike's just, I can't say enough good things about Mike, just like Al can't say enough bad things about Mike.
Well, I will say one. I usually do badmouth Mike Bucciaroni, but I will in this instance say that Keith's absolutely right about his fan. I've never questioned his fandom. Number one. Number two. I like when he reports on his own Facebook what he saw last night, almost like a dirt sheet kind of thing, where he just tells you what happened, like the results. Like, he should think about actually like writing for 3WA and maybe putting out some kind of like results paper or something like that, maybe a sheet where it tells you what happened on Saturday night and how he felt about it, because that's what you normally see on his Facebook posts.
By him just doing that, it puts the story over so much for us.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies don't even post what he posts for us on the upcoming shows and what he's excited to see or what he just saw. So it helps the talent as well. So if we had more people like that, it'd be a ton easier on this level that we're on.
See, Bucciaroni will tell you that I only said those good things about him today because the Eagles won and I'm in a good mood, but that's not true. Mike knows how I really feel.
See, I'm a Washington fan, so.
You gotta keep kayfabe, and you gotta, keep the gimmick going. All that, Mike gets it.
Well, speaking of gimmicks, let's talk about the character.
But
Nathaniel.
man, Washington fan, God bless you for all the stuff you got to put up with being a Washington fan.
Is that what he said? You're a Washington fan?
Yeah, he did.
Big Washington fan.
God bless you for what you put up with on and off the field with them.
You're billed from California, but where are you from originally?
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just curious. So let's talk about the character Nathaniel Cunningham. Let's talk about this guy, because he's part of you. He's somewhere in there. And so where inside you does that guy come? And tell me, if you were a fan of 3WA, watching him perform, watching the entrance, watching the whole thing, how would you feel about Nathaniel Cunningham?
So I originally started out as a luchador, and I felt that I wasn't gonna go far with that, and it made me unhappy at the end of the day. So I try to revamp it. Me and Jack Molson talked and Justin Glory, and we kind of threw it in as I wanted to transition to heel. What would be a good character base that I could do both with? So I kind of just went with like what I always wanted to do in a wrestling setting, and that's how Nathaniel Cunningham came. But if I was to watch myself in the entrance, I would not like him at all. And that's the job I'm trying to do. So if it's getting over that way, I'm glad.
Yeah, that's what you want to do, right, Professor?
Absolutely. I mean, and you've got one of those very good, very simple gimmicks, and I always think simple is better. We see you with the mirror. We know what you're about. We know you're narcissistic. We know you love yourself. We know that just looking at you, you must think you're better than we are. You think you're better than your opponent is. There's all this nonverbal communication that's going on. You're conveying a lot with a very simple thing. Just your reflection in the mirror and your obvious obsession with that reflection in the mirror is conveying so much. And you don't need to cut a long promo to do it. You don't need to go into a massive explanation of it. We as the commentators don't need to go into a massive explanation of it. It's very simple, but it says a lot.
Right. Thank you. Because you put it in better words than I could at that point. But I picked this character because there's always, if you can't graduate and reform it as you go, you shouldn't be as a character. So I saw the opportunity, and now I know what I can do with it in the future if I have to. And it's just, I'm excited for the future of my character, essentially.
So, guys, I notice a lot of you are watching. There are a lot of people watching right now on my screen. So if you have a comment or a question, please throw them my way.
Yeah, we'll shut up. I promise.
So let's talk a little bit then about your influences. Do you have any? Because as you train and you learn the basics and all that stuff, and as you develop your character, you're also developing your move sets, what you want to use, depending on, obviously who your opponent is. A lot of times it gets changed up a little bit, but at the same token, though, you have a lot of guys have influences. Like, do you have such influences, and who are they?
I would say my biggest influence since I started, it has in the independent level, it had to be Chris Banks. I mean, he has helped me so much through training and developing myself as a wrestler, and the realism of it that I couldn't thank him enough. So I would say he was a major influence. Jack Molson is still a huge influence on me as well with his knowledge. Justin Glory is the best influence I have in wrestling, so I couldn't thank him more than enough. But as a kid watching it from home, to start doing this as an influence, I would say Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam.
Okay.
And I do none of the moves like that.
I was going to say, and you're not a flyer whatsoever. You don't do any of the stuff that they do. So it's interesting to hear that those are the guys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they could influence you in the way because not only could those guys do like all these moves and things like that, but they also could engage a crowd. They were really both good at engaging a crowd and and ring psychology too. And so, I mean, those are pretty good examples of going back and checking out their older stuff when they were in their prime and seeing how they work a crowd, especially even Jeff's singles run where he even got as high as the WWE Championship. That was where he kind of got away from. He was still doing the Swanton and things like that, but he didn't have to go through tables every other week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when he won that title. That's where I was like the happiest because the story was there. I watch wrestling for the story, not for the matches. If there's no story, I'm uninterested.
Right.
At the end of the day, so the story has to be 100% realistic, and you have to put it over as great as possible. In promos, in the match, the whole nine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're training, how do you feel your promos have evolved? How in the beginning were they as good as they are now?
So, as a luchador, I never cut promos. So my first promo that I actually cut was against Slayer. And I feel like I could have done better with that promo, but gradually and eventually I will get there. But right now I feel like I'm still learning the process of cutting a good promo.
But
It's good that
thankfully
you
they put you in with somebody like Slayer, because Slayer is such a good guy and is so committed to what he does, and he's so over and
Yeah.
entrenched that you almost get a get out of jail free card on anything you do wrong, as long as it's not egregious. As long as you can hang with him and you can hold up your end of it, which you absolutely have. I think you've been able to really piss that crowd off to a next level by being the guy trying to go out there, and you got your pipe and you're going for the bounty and all that stuff, which, folks, if you don't know what's going on, Slayer has a bounty on him, and Nathaniel here got involved with that by taking a lead pipe and trying to put Slayer out of wrestling and collect the bounty, and he's hanging out with Hat Guy, who's one of the biggest heels in the company, that puts the bounty out, and you're trying to grab the bag of money, and you're oh, I just want the money and all that. I mean, such good character work, and it's so great that the company already obviously believes in you that much that it's willing to give you a storyline where you're involved with a top guy like Slayer, and you're in a program like that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't be more appreciative of Triple WA for giving me that opportunity. In that match, I wish we could have done a little more, but I think we put the story over, and that's all that mattered. But the story's just kicking off. We still have I think it's going to go into next year, so I'm excited.
I have been commissioned by the patriarch of the original family and the ruiner of it all, JT Cage, to ask you why you hit the Hat Guy with the pipe.
Wasn't that awesome?
All right. So I've reached out to JT Cage, and I've reached out to Hat Guy after that incident happened. Slayer moved at the wrong time. I thought I was lined up on Slayer, and he moved. Unexpectedly. So regarding Hat Guy, I've sent out apologies. I've texted him. I've called him. He has not yet answered my calls. And then I see JT posting all these promotional things on Facebook. So at the end of the day, I think now if we want to address the issue, me and JT could do it face-to-face on November 26th in the ring. Because at this point, I've tried, and if they're not going to accept my apology, we can go at it. I'm ready for that. Maybe he could put the championship on the line. I'll gladly take it.
Well, JT's a little busy on the 26th. I don't know that you're going to be able to get satisfaction on that night. But we are building to a pretty big show in January. We'll start talking a little bit more about that on Carnage. We do have a big announcement for the January show. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say that it is going to change the Triple WA. And it's going to change the landscape of 3WA.
We're allowed, and Mr. Cunningham, we're allowed to tease it, but we are not allowed to reveal such change in the landscape. But stay tuned, everybody. Stay tuned.
Yes, we think the fans are going to be very, very happy with it. Just don't expect something like we signed Goldberg, folks, because we didn't sign Goldberg.
Don't apologize to the original family, and don't back down, says Mike Bucciaroni. Donnie Bambino in the Donnie Bambino, the Don, the new Don, is here to support his friend.
Oh, look at that guy.
I'm seeing some promotional material, Nathaniel, that you and Donnie are forming a bit of a tag team here, potentially. Is that correct?
Yeah, we started the idea, and Shelby is in on it too. We have some great things in the works for 2023. And the dynamic's there between all three of us. I couldn't be more thankful to have them in wrestling with me. And we all want to get the story over too. So the things that you're about to see from us get produced, I'm very excited for. And we're just getting started. But once we get started, I think we can take it over.
What another great piece of timing on your behalf, because we have babyface tag team champions now in 3WA, Jack Molson and Roadblock. Rule Britannia is obviously not going to look for the return match because Wyndham James Winthorpe III, I know Al is going to disagree with me, but rather cowardly, I think, attacked his partner, Theo Ivory. So that kind of clears the decks, maybe for you guys to come in, make an impact, and potentially make some noise in the tag team scene maybe you're the guys that can dethrone the Brotherhood if you play your
See?
cards right.
I'm going to play my cards right here and say if we get a chance at the Brotherhood in those tag team championships, we're taking them. We're taking them.
Oh, there you go.
Jack Mostly can't
here
hang with
first.
us.
Yeah, and Shelby, we had Shelby Waters on a couple of weeks ago, and she kind of hinted towards a faction between you and the Don and herself, and so I'm interested to see what happens there with that story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The gears were turning when you last talked to her, but now it's in full effect. We're going to go 100% with it.
I love it. I love the idea of young, hungry talent getting together and making their opportunity and kicking the doors down, because you know what? That's what it's all about. How many times have we seen that be successful in this business? Nobody hands you anything. You've got to go out and you've got to get it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're just going to sit home and not do anything about it, you're never going to get anywhere. And I'm not trying to be that guy.
Is there somebody? All right. So JT Cage aside, is there somebody in the 3WA or somebody on the independent scene even that you have not faced that you would like to in the near future?
I would say Tom Mitchell.
Really?
I'd love to face Tom Mitchell. Yeah. I think we'd make magic. He's a great guy. Well, based off his style of wrestling, he can do the flippy stuff where I'm more grounded now. But his dynamic and my dynamic, I think we could just mesh really well and tell an actual good story. So I would be very excited to face him.
Yeah,
and another opportunity. Sorry, Al, I didn't mean to cut you off. Another opportunity within the tag team scene, because you have Nice and Smooth there, Tom Mitchell and Trace Parker. A lot of variety, a lot of opportunity there.
Absolutely, and if I tag with Donnie, he already knows them. He just faced them, and he knows their dynamic. So I think that would be a slated win too. Not going to tap ourselves on the back yet.
Well, see, here's the thing. He tag teamed with Damon Dante, and see, there was a little bit of a difference in opinions between Dante and Donnie Bambino, and that's why I think that's why that team didn't gel, and I think that's why they took the loss there.
Donnie can only have one partner that's going to fit his style, and that's me. And so, 2023, the future's bright.
Yeah, and I can't say enough good things about Tommy Mitchell. We've kind of seen the professor and I go into these events both at SWO and 3WA. We've seen him kind of blossom right in front of our eyes, and he's one half of the tag team champions over in SWO now. With Greg Manuel, and so he's coming into his own in SWA or in 3WA. He's really starting to make waves as far as the fans go. The fans are really getting behind him. So like you said, there could be some magic there because they really seem to dislike you. They really seem to like him. It makes for that dynamic, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that match would be a lot of fun too.
I don't know if you saw Mikey Raw popped in here. Mikey Raw, big shout out to Mikey Raw. Please, no, not Goldberg.
Definitely a big shout out from me if his reaction is, I don't want him even if we can get him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mikey Raw here, always listening and supporting the 3WA family. Absolutely, man.
Absolutely. Man.
Yeah.
And they're kind of behind him. That's another guy that I thought you might have a good match with, Mikey Raw. You know what I mean?
Oh, we would have a great match as well. I forgot about him actually for a second, but now that he's commenting, no, me and him would make magic as well. Absolutely. Great guy too. Great guy.
Yeah. Great opportunity for him coming up on the 26th. He's going to be wrestling Greg the Mechanic for the High Impact Championship.
Oh.
Yeah.
He might take it.
He might. It could be his night.
He's been on a roll since his arrival, and man, he won a huge triple threat match last month against Toxic King. I mean, Toxic King, Rico Hendricks is no joke. I've seen him take on some much bigger opponents and take them down, but he just couldn't catch up to Mikey Raw. And that whole triple threat match, it just seemed like Mikey had a plan. Let those two guys beat the crap out of each other, and then he kind of picked the bones and got a win, a big win, and that I think that's going to propel him to higher heights in 3WA.
and he's smart about it. So that's a key factor right there. He was smart.
He's crafty. I mean, if you look at him, he looks like a young man. He's been in the business for 20 years, off and on. And so with that experience comes, this sense of, okay, a little bit of confidence too. And on top of all that, the man can work anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch what happens with him and Greg the Mechanic. And it's going to be even more fun to watch what happens between you and JT Cage. If that face-to-face does happen, and the professor did allude to the fact that JT Cage does have a championship match that night against Nico Gray. But
no original family allowed at ringside. I love that part.
Yeah, well, you know what? And I protest that part because
of course you do. Well,
because if Brickhouse is allowed at ringside, why can't the Hat Guy?
Well, maybe you should write in there and ask that it be mano a mano, and
I have no power.
Sidelined it well.
I'm just gonna say if JT retains and he doesn't have an opponent for January, I would, if he wants to put his title up, I'll take him on, but I want him in his element. I want it to be a hardcore match.
Well, if he puts the title up, absolutely it would be.
Yeah, it's only fitting. So I want him in his element.
I hate to admit this, Nathan Cunningham. I hate to admit this, but I doubt seriously, with all the cards that have been stacked up against the Ruiner for November the 26th, that he's walking out of Quakertown with his title. Because Nico Gray is young and hungry and been wanting this for 2 years. He finally gets his shot a couple of months ago, and each time he gets his hands on JT Cage, the original family kind of bails him out. That being said, if it's one-on-one, I mean, I have faith in him. He's been champ. He's not champion for no reason. I have faith that he could pull it out somehow, some way. But one-on-one, Nico Gray is a very dangerous man. Very. I agree.
I'll be watching that match.
He's a loose cannon.
Yeah.
So
Nico in front of the curtain is very much like Nico behind the curtain. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, we've had conversations with him, but I mean, he's capable of doing anything to get his hands on that title.
Which I'll be watching it closely, and if he does, great for him.
Jumping off the bandwagon, sir? Really?
I wouldn't say he's jumping off the bandwagon. I mean, certainly within original family circles, he might be endangering some of his access or getting those envelopes every month. Considering the way they act, I mean, Nathaniel obviously had an accident. He didn't mean to hit the original Hat Guy, but to hear JT and the Hat Guy talk about it, my God, you'd think he was the second shooter on the grassy knoll the way they act.
I agree. I couldn't agree more on that one.
Well, we talked to the three of us here have said his name so many times. I'm surprised he hasn't appeared spontaneously.
I was waiting.
There's no Phillies game on tonight. You know what I mean? Maybe. I thought I might, or even the Hat Guy. I thought maybe the Hat Guy would come on here and say a few words, but
now maybe they were detained elsewhere.
Shelby Waters is here. Shelby Waters. Nathan and Donnie. # Nathan and Donnie.
Yeah, we're going to have some interesting dynamic here, so I'm very excited for that to happen as well.
Admit it, Nathaniel. You meant to hit the hatted one.
As much as anyone would have loved to. In that instance, I really did not mean to, and I've apologized. But we'll see how this all plays out on the 26th, possibly.
Could be if JT Cage can get by Nico Gray. I mean, even if he can't, hey.
I'll still take him on.
Right. Sure. I mean, you guys are going to have, even if he can't get by Nico Gray, you guys are going to have some unfinished business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens. That's on November the 26th in Quakertown. That is the last show, fans, for 3WA in 2022. It was Slayer's fault. I saw the whole thing.
See?
There you go.
At least I have someone on my side on the situation.
Well, she would be on your side, I would think. I mean, no matter what.
She's kind of biased, yeah.
And I mean, hey, you may need some backup. Look, we can talk about how despicable, how dirty and underhanded and terrible the original family is all day, but you can't deny the talent that's involved in that group. You've got JT Cage, you've got Malcolm King, top shelf Tyler Sims is back now. He just had his first match back last night. That is a formidable group to have to run afoul of.
Well, maybe in the future we can do. They're all very, very talented, but maybe in the future it's going to present itself where our team could go against their team and maybe have a great feud going on.
Very possible.
I'd be into that. I'd like to see the Don versus top shelf Tyler Sims. You, Professor?
Absolutely. And I
That'd
mean,
be something.
you could have some great tag matches there. Top shelf and JT, Malcolm King and JT. A lot of permutations.
Yeah, I agree.
Donnie has more talent in his pinky ring.
My God, I think it's on for 2023 already.
Oh, my God.
That pinky holds a lot of power. So I wouldn't mess with that.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves. Okay.
We are.
All right. So we talked about influences. We talked about your training. We talked about 3WA. Is there other places that, I mean, because you have been, you said you've been booked other places like Virginia and such. Is there other experiences you might want to talk about, or maybe other matches you might have had that you might want to talk about? Because I don't necessarily want to make it all about 3WA. I want to make it about Nathaniel Cunningham.
So I'm not sure if I have like any other matches that come to mind that I could talk about. But future companies that I would love to work for would include Monster Factory. I'd love to work there. Great,
New
great
Jersey, right?
opportunities.
That's Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to work anywhere in the Jersey area, get out there a little bit outside of Pennsylvania. Really, like any company that wants to book me, I will take gladly.
Okay. Fill in the blank. The greatest wrestling match you ever watched was
Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam. 100%. That match is a standstill for me. I loved it.
Have you ever seen any of the
times. Which one in particular?
The hardcore match for the hardcore title.
Okay,
that was a good one. Yeah.
That was a
Have you
WWE
ever seen any of the? Have you ever seen any of the Rob Van Dam Jerry Lynn matches from ECW?
No, I
go
have
back
not.
and watch those.
Yes.
Really, really interesting clash of styles, but still being able to make it work and make magic.
Yeah.
I will definitely check that out then.
I think Rob has said many, many times in many, many interviews that his greatest opponent was Jerry Lynn.
Yeah.
They just complimented each other so much. And I do remember a lot of those matches. They were just phenomenal. They were way ahead of their time because they were some of the stuff you see nowadays on the independents or in Japan or whatever, or even AEW. Those two guys could just make magic. You were into the match. You were into every hold, every move, everything that they did. You were just enthralled by what they did to each other. So yeah, look that up. Go find them. They're probably a YouTube search away, honestly.
Yeah, okay. And they're on the network too.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think there were 3 or 4 major matches. It was Living Dangerously, 99, I believe was the first one. Hardcore Heaven 99, the second one. And then they hooked back up again at the last pay-per-view, Guilty as Charged 2001.
Okay.
There it is. So I lost my train of thought.
Happens to me all the time.
No, it's okay. Yeah. Man, bail me out, Professor. I just derail. I derailed.
So we know that the goal is to build up this trio and take that as far as you can take it. 2023 goals. I mean, you've laid out some promotions you want to get to. Is there some goals of like, hey, I want to work in this state, or my 2023 is not going to be complete unless I work here, something like that?
I would love to work down the Georgia area, Georgia, Florida, maybe even Alabama. I would love to just travel down there and work in those
know
areas.
some people in Alabama.
We happen to know a guy down there.
Yes.
Oh, really?
We know a guy in Alabama. We do.
So I did tag him, Professor. He's been, as you know, he's been, kind of absent from our show for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He's been awful busy setting things up. But I want a shout out to Greg Cable, a.k.a. Thundercat Greg Cable, a.k.a. Greg Winters, because I know you watch the show. Even though you don't watch it live, you do watch the show. Check out Nathaniel Cunningham. Friend request him. Nathaniel, if you get a friend request by one Greg Winters, that's who we're talking about. He is a 18-year pro in the business. He's been wrestling in Alabama. He's out of Alabama, but he's been wrestling Tennessee, Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, all of Mississippi, all those good places down there. So get in touch with him and see what can be done. Yeah. If you get Greg, when you're watching this, Greg, friend request Nathaniel Cunningham on Facebook. So there you go. That's why the professor asked these questions, because if we can build bridges, man. We build.
You're trying to get down there. He's been trying to get up here.
Yeah, we want him up in PA. We want him in PA. He reminds us. He loves when we say this. He reminds us of Bryan Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways. I mean, his matches, his body size, the way he orchestrates a match, his kicks and things like that. It seems like Bryan Danielson influenced a little bit, but but his character's pretty cool. He's like the last Spartan, and he's way over wherever he goes. So
and he's a guy that likes to teach, likes to coach. So he's somebody that you could definitely pick his brain if you were down there working with him, because he will absolutely share and help new talent out. He loves doing that. He's a great guy that way.
I'll absolutely pick his brain. Not a problem. I love doing that.
So I do remember what I was going to ask you, because we haven't done this one in a while, but if you could book yourself in a dream match scenario against anybody, who would that be and why?
I think now it would definitely be Rob Van Dam, because I think he's still amazing at what he does. He still has great athleticism for his age.
He still wrestles.
He still wrestles, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be a fun match for me, and that would really put it into perspective on why I started doing this. So I would love to wrestle him.
Other than you did mention the Jeff Hardy match, but I mean, did you go back and watch any of his? I mean, I know you didn't. We talked about Jerry Lynn, but did you see any of his ECW stuff? Because I know you're a bit young.
I did.
Yeah,
Sabu's are really good too. Yeah, yep, that's really good.
Did you happen to catch when he wrestled John Cena at the Hammerstein Ballroom, that match?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember that one like it was yesterday, because there was all these signs that if Cena wins, we riot, and those people would have, believe me.
That would have been bad.
My favorite was still Tony Lewis catches Cena's shirt, wipes his ass with it, and throws it back in. Love Tony. One of the Mr. ECW kind of guys, Tony Lewis.
Yes.
So I want to give a big shout out to Backbreakers and Jack Molson in particular. I want to, because we talked about him briefly earlier, but I want you to talk a little bit, because I know he's going to watch this. All right. He shares all our stuff now. He's become a good friend of the show. I talk to him each and every time I see him now. I feel more comfortable talking to him than I did before, because he's an intimidating sort.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I appreciate everything he does for us and shares the post. He shared the post for this show for you. So obviously he believes in you. Talk a little bit about your relationship with Jack Molson.
The relationship there, he's like a wrestling dad to me. At the end of the day, he took me under his wing. At first, we didn't even talk when I first got in, and then we hooked up with each other. It was a great connection. He taught me what he knew, and he's done a lot of great things for me, such as bring me down to Triple WA. So I couldn't appreciate him more for what he has done. And the future, who knows what is going to be held there.
How is he as a trainer? Is he tough? Is he fair? Is he both? Does he really work you guys hard?
I would say he does it in tough love. His training is very tough love kind of thing. If you're not there to train and put 100% in, he'll just tell you go home. It's as simple as that. If you're not trying to work as hard as he wants you to, you can just either try harder or just go home. But at the end of the day, he loves all of us, and he has to show us tough love because he can't. If he's too soft, no one's going to take him serious. So I understand his perspective on the trainer side of things.
Yeah, and anytime we've asked that question to some of your fellow trainees, people that have been under him, they give that exact same answer or close to it. So it's interesting that he has such an influence on you guys. I've never heard anything bad about him ever. No. And I know it's not. I know it's out of respect, not out of fear. It's out of respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you're not booked anytime between now and the 26th, are you?
Give me 1 second. I am booked. I will be going to Sanctuary on November 4th. Okay. November 19th, I'm back at Ultimate Wrestling. I'm excited for that one. The 26th, I'm at Triple WA.
Yeah.
So that's what I have coming up right now.
Well, that's 3 events in November right there. So just say them all again. You got Sanctuary first.
Yep, on the 4th of November.
On the 4th.
Okay, and where is that? And can the fans get tickets for it?
Hazleton, PA, and it's $5 for tickets at the door.
Okay. So a phone number or anything?
$5.
Sanctuary
I'm
has
not sure.
They have a Facebook page.
Okay,
Sanctuary.
So check out the Sanctuary Facebook page, fans. If you're in the Hazleton area, $5, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, really.
No.
And then you said Ultimate
Wrestling on November 19th. I'm in a tag match with Donnie Bambino. So
and where's that at?
That one.
Where's that at?
It's in Lyons, New York.
Okay. So Hazleton on the 4th, Lyons, New York on the 19th. You said 19th?
Yes.
And then Quakertown on the 26th.
Yes.
So if you're in the area, fans, in any of those 3 areas, you want to see this guy in action, you check out those 3 venues, one or all 3 of them, and you'll see this guy and many others in some great action. Keith and I can speak to November the 26th. There's already been matches signed for that, but yeah, it's going to be a great show. They always put on a great show, but at the end of the year, it's their last show. They want to go out with a bang. You got JT Cage versus Nico Gray already signed. You got whatever might or may happen between Theo Ivory and Wyndham James Winthorpe III. I know they're both going to be in the building. Nathaniel Cunningham might have to answer to the hat guy face to face. Who knows?
He'll be looking to make an impact. So will Donnie Bambino. So will Shelby Waters. Could we see the formation, the debut of that grouping in 3WA? You don't know. We don't know.
We never know what's going to happen. We never know. Well, man, I got one last question for you.
Yes.
And we'll wrap this up. And that is, we're going to flip the script and you're going to interview us. Is there anything you would ever want to ask me or the professor or both? I say me or the professor because you don't have to ask us both. 2 separate questions, I'm saying. What would that be?
Why did you guys originally start the podcast? If I had a question, that would be it. What made you guys be happy to do a podcast and to give us this platform?
You want to take that one, Professor, or you want me to do it?
Well, I tell you what, how about I do my version of it and then you correct anything that's inaccurate?
You got it.
So, he'll have 5 minutes rebutting all of this because my memory is
One
terrible.
more question. David Hilt says, "Are you wrestling anywhere near York?"
No, not as of right now. I don't believe. I would love to get out there as well.
Well, SWO might be the
I,
ticket there. Yeah.
I was just going to say you should probably talk to Wolfman at the next show
Okay.
and see about SWO because Wolfman is one of the owners down there. He runs it. Evan Atlas is there regularly. Greg the Mechanic is there regularly.
Familiar
Tom
face. Okay.
Mitchell, like they're affiliated with 3WA. So if you're somebody that wrestles for 3WA, good shot that you could probably get booked in SWO as well, and vice versa.
That would be great.
All right. So back to his question, Professor.
So back to his question. So Al had the idea because Al and I, a couple of our other friends, we had a chat on Facebook where we were just talking about wrestling and stuff, and we were mostly talking about WWE, a little bit Impact and some other companies. And Al's like, I think people would like to hear this stuff. And me, I'm very shy and I'm very introverted in real life away from the camera and everything. It's taken me a while to get to where I am now with that stuff. So I'm looking at it like, nobody's going to care. There's a million people that, do this and everything else. He's like, no, I think people would want to do it. So we batted around for a few years. A lot of us were kind of sitting there like, well, we've talked about it, but then it's get this or do that. Al's got his family and everything, and we're all lazy. So between the two things, this is not going to happen. And Al wouldn't let it go. And finally, the pandemic hits in 2020. And he says, you know what? I figured out this Zoom thing. Let's give it a try. We did a few episodes on Zoom. For the love of God, don't watch them, folks. They're not great on any level. We started doing that. Al's got a friend that is a local rapper. Shout out to TJ Spitter. And TJ knew James Brickhouse, and said, hey, I think Brickhouse would come on your show and talk to you guys if you would be willing to have him. And we're like, yeah, cool, something different, absolutely. And we had him on, and it went really well. He was happy, we were happy. And then he said, hey, I'll send you this guy, JT Cage, and you can talk to the original hat guy, John Bailey. And we're like, whoa, cool, because I'm a huge ECW mark. And I remember John sitting in the front row as the hat guy at all of those shows. And it turned out JT is an even bigger ECW mark than I am. So we did that one. It went really well. They were really happy. Between the three of them, they started to get us more involved with 3WA. And Al and I kind of sat there and said, you know what? This seems like the way to go. If these independent wrestlers are happy to come on the show and they seem to be happy with what we're doing interview style, like we kind of fell into something here that is unique, that's helpful to the business, so we can give something back after all the years that we've been involved with it as fans and loving it. Why don't we get on this ride and see how far it can go? And 2 years later, here we still are.
I can't speak for everyone in the independent level, but like for me, I appreciate what you guys do, and the ability to give me this platform is just amazing. So I appreciate you guys.
We appreciate that. The only thing I would add to what he said is,
I knew I'd miss at least something.
The only thing I would add, no, you said it all perfectly. The only thing I would add is what we started out as and what we've become. I love what we've become. Mm-hmm. What you mentioned before was that platform, because this business has entertained me for over 40 years. And if this is our way to give back to that business by taking young talent who are trying to make it, and if, maybe only people in your general area know who you are, and you come on a platform like this and the right person sees you and you get booked somewhere else, that's the ultimate thrill for us. Like, we don't do this to get rich. We don't do this to be famous. We do this because we love this business as much as you guys do. And all we want to do is help.
Yeah, we're really lucky.
And if this is our way of helping, then this is our way of helping. And the stuff that it's led to is just bonus.
We're very, very lucky and appreciative.
Yeah, we're lucky. I mean, leading to us doing commentary for 3WA Carnage, leading to me getting in the ring and ring announcing a show. Like those were dreams. Once upon a time, they were pipe dreams. Now those are reality. It's led to that, but those are just bonus. And to me, I believe in karma. So if we're doing this out of the kindness of our heart, those other things are good karma to me.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how I feel about it. But that I hope we answered your question.
No, absolutely. That answered everything, actually.
Mike Bucciaroni gets the last comment. He says, best of luck, Nathaniel. You have the most supportive mom ever. She's the initial one to bring you to our attention in the first night.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she it doesn't matter where I'm wrestling. She always shows up, even if I tell her not to. So like I do appreciate her for spending the time driving to wherever I happen to be. So she's great for that.
All right, man. Well, I want to echo what he just said, and we want to wish you the best of luck, health, anything you want out of this business. I want you to get. Just keep working hard. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're natural at what you do, and you're only going to get better with the more training, the more brains you pick, the different locker rooms you wrestle in. The character's just going to get better. If you're pissing them off now, just wait. Just wait. It's going to get worse, and that's good. That's a good thing. Okay.
I appreciate that.
And anything we can do along the way, let us know. If we can help in any way, we will.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I always like to give the guest the final word before I sign off. So is there anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Just follow my socials. My Instagram is attached to my Facebook page along with my TikTok that I just started. So
there it is. Nathaniel Cunningham. Professor, you got any parting gifts?
Yes, I just want to firstly make sure that they can find you on Facebook. You're under Nathaniel Cunningham?
Yes.
Okay, so Nathaniel Cunningham on Facebook, kids. I just want to echo what Al said about thank you for your time. And hopefully we've given you some pointers in the right direction. I know you're smart enough to know, when you're in those locker rooms, ears open, mouth shut, except when it's the right moment, the right opportunity to ask the right questions. And I think you understand that, which is great. You've got a leg up on probably 60% or so of everybody at your level right now. Just keep grinding. If you keep grinding, good things are going to happen for you.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you guys for having me again.
Absolutely, man. And one more shout out to Greg Thundercat Winters. I know you've been busy to join us live, but man, once you do watch this, because I know you do watch every show because you comment after the fact, get in touch with this man. He's interested in picking your brain, and maybe him coming down and seeing you, and maybe him and you and he have a match that we end up seeing on YouTube or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Upcoming local events, fans, on November the 5th, SWO is in Red Lion. So go to SWO's page for ticket information. Outbreak is in Hamburg on the 12th. Go to Outbreak's page or OutbreakWrestlingTickets.com. Also, SWO is back at Seven Valleys on, was that the 19th?
I believe that's the 19th.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
No, I'm wrong.
You're
November
wrong.
the 12th is Outbreak. November the 19th is SWO in Seven Valleys.
You're right the first time.
On the 26th, it's Slams Giving, 3WA in Quakertown, and the Professor and I will be there, as will Nathaniel Cunningham.
Yes.
Tickets, go to their website or call 215-362-7184 and catch the Professor and I on Carnage this week and next. They'll be dropping new episodes of Carnage. So check that out. Also, a big shout out. I want to do this, Keith, if you don't mind.
Oh.
On Wednesday night, go to Facebook, go to Wolfman Baker on Facebook and check out Inside the Squared Circle. He has a phone number at the bottom of the screen, and you can call the Wolfman directly and talk wrestling. Nathaniel, might be a good idea to call him and talk some SWO with him.
Absolutely.
He's on each and every Wednesday night on Facebook and on WNEP television, local television, Wednesday nights from 6 o'clock to 7:30. He shows SWO highlights when people don't call, but the professor and I are regular callers there, so we always like to have a conversation with the Wolfman. So call him up. Call him up on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. Check out the Wolfman on WNEP and on Wolfman Baker on Facebook.
Thing I love about Wolf is you just have to say a little something to him, and man, he finds a way to tell you a story, and before you know it, you're hearing about working with Tony Atlas or Abdullah the Butcher. It's amazing the people that man has worked with.
And he seems to really prefer you over me, Professor, and that hurts my feelings.
Well, I don't know what to say. I just seem to know the right buttons to push on the Wolfman. I think I got to get him to tell some King Kong Bundy stories next week. I meant to try to.
David says, tell Nathan to call Wednesday night. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, I'm calling Wolfie.
I was trying.
Awesome. Tell him. Make sure you tell him around the turnbuckle sent you, brother.
Yeah,
I will.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I was trying to get him around to tell him more King Kong Bundy stories last week, but it didn't work out. I guess I'm gonna have to try this week.
Bundy,
Bundy, you're stealing. That's my Ernie Ladd impression. Ernie Ladd apparently used to say to Bundy in the back, he'd be like, "Bundy, you're stealing money, Bundy. You're no good at this business, Bundy. What are you doing here?"
All right, Nathan, don't go away when I go off the air. The professor and I will be right back in this spot, 6 o'clock next Sunday with Donnie Bambino. He will be here next Sunday at 6 o'clock, so don't miss that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our videos. Like and subscribe and share, and tell your friends about Around the Turnbuckle. We're here each and every Sunday night on YouTube at 6 p.m. Next week, it's Donnie Bambino. For Nathaniel Cunningham and the professor, I'm the Big Albowski. This was Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you next time.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah. If you smile.